Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Well, suggestions of instability within the state government have been shot down by Cabinet Minister Nick Street, referring to the Liberals as a united front. Despite a tumultuous 2 months in minority, he's not expecting an early election.
With reports of a Liberal rift, Rockcliffe ally Nick Street fronted the cameras, downplaying divisions.
There are always going to be differing opinions on policy decisions and directions and where we need to go. What you see from the government is a united front once those decisions have been made. Since
losing 2 members to the crossbench, the government's been less than rock solid. Losing votes on the Parliament floor, now a daily occurrence. There's been an exodus of senior staff, and a decision to hire a lobbying firm partner to run media has ruffled feathers.
This is a minority Liberal government that is lurching from crisis to crisis under Jeremy Rockcliffe's leadership.
The hypocrisy of Labor making those accusations when they're still under control of the federal party and can't make decisions for themselves is staggering.
Hosing down suggestions we're headed to the polls.
We're not talking about an early election. We're talking about what we need to do to serve the Tasmanian people.
But an early election might not help either of the major parties. Recent polling from EMRS shows that support for both of them is low.
It's challenging to see either side winning a majority, but it is a turbulent situation and we don't have a lot of data.
The TCCI says business confidence in the state has softened, with a warning.
We want good government in Tasmania. We don't want instability. We don't want change right now.
The stadium has been the catalyst for much of the chaos. It will be under further scrutiny tomorrow, with the Treasurer fronting the Public Accounts Committee. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
And an announcement on the leadership for the Tasmanian AFL club is imminent. Sports Minister Nick Street today told reporters it's been decided who will take the role of chairperson, but their identity won't be revealed until later this week. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Legal Service has slammed the state's prison system at a government inquiry. The organisation highlighting a lack of cultural support programs for Aborigines in custody, claiming Tasmania's prison system has just one Indigenous employee.
I think what's really surprising is that Tasmania hasn't had very many deaths in custody, and I would argue that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Almost a quarter of Tasmania's adult prison population is Aboriginal. Police have deployed swift water searches at Philosopher Falls near Waratah in the desperate search for Belgian tourist Celine Cremier. Last week, expert medical advice indicated the 31-year-old could not have survived the conditions since disappearing last month. Authorities are reviewing the search effort to determine the next steps in the operation. An elderly man has died in hospital 4 days after he was hit by a car in Launceston. The 74-year-old was trying to clear a tyre off Invermay Road in the early hours of Friday morning when he was struck by an oncoming Mercedes-Benz. He was taken to the Launceston General Hospital in a serious condition where he later succumbed to his injuries. Investigations are continuing. A ticket rush usually reserved for Taylor Swift concerts has overwhelmed the Overland Track. Huge demand for spots on the famous Tassie Trail forced hikers to sit tight for hours, sparking an apology from Parks and Wildlife.
Queuing. It used to mean up on your feet. Today, it's behind a computer dreaming of being up on your feet on the Overland Track.
Such an iconic walk, and once you've done it once, you really want to go back and experience it again.
Scott Gelston was among more than 3,000 walkers who managed to make a booking for the upcoming season, but it cost him 2 hours of hang time.
It was a little bit of an anxious wait. Lots of people online are comparing it to Taylor Swift, which I tried last week and had no luck with.
A blank space still greeted plenty of hikers who suffered dropouts while thousands deep trying to lock in their spot. Parks and Wildlife has apologised for the frustration, saying there's been very high demand for walkers wanting to book the Overland Track, and its popularity reflects the quality and uniqueness of the experience.
At least they were on Facebook and they were saying to be patient and just to let it play out. 3 hours later, I eventually got through.
Amazingly, those who have booked in the past say it's better now than it used to be.
I actually went through this process 2 or 3 years ago for my daughter, for the same walk, and that was a disaster. They had to dove threw in the towel and had to go to a completely manual system.
Parks and Wildlife says it'll review the system in place for next year so more Tasmanians can take snaps like these stress-free.
The secret is out that, you know, Tassie is the place to do these walks.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News.
A dozen Tasmanian businesses are sharing in federal funds set to help their power bills and the fight against climate change. Dovetail Timbers, one successful recipient of the energy efficiency grants, will be able to replace a diesel generator currently used in transforming reclaimed wood into garden beds.
It's been a big bugbear that we've had to use so much diesel up to date, and that's simply due to having a limited budget to progress the business with.
There are so many opportunities for homes and businesses around the country if we can connect people to technology.
Another round of grants for small and medium business is expected in the coming year. Family court cases will return to Burnie after securing temporary facilities back on the northwest coast. They and federal circuit hearings will be held in the Burnie Supreme Court for the foreseeable future. The decision comes after cases were moved to Launceston short term.
It's the best announcement ever. I'm a little bit disappointed that we've come full circle though, and that wasn't decided 2 years ago, and we had to go through the pain that we've gone through last month.
It's hoped the new Burnie courthouse can offer a more permanent solution. Tasmanian towns have gone head-to-head to see who has the state's best tap water. Competitors pouring in to enter their top samples, hoping to walk away with ultimate bragging rights.
The search for the finest drop.
In the best way possible to get the best aesthetically pleasing water.
Providers capturing a litre of their tastiest H2O, ensuring it has all the hallmarks to take out this year's ICSM Best Tasting Tap Water competition.
The basic idea is to bring operators together in a type of fun but competitive competition, really to celebrate what they do and the great work they do on a day-to-day basis, and really kind of recognise their efforts.
The samples going under the tough microscope of a blind tasting with state pride on the line.
When you're looking at it, what you want is it to be nice and clear, smelling it, ideally no odour, maybe a bit of a fresh type of smell, and taste, definitely crisp, fresh, and something you could drink all day.
Coming down to the final three, Glenhuon, Barrington and Ferntree progressing to the podium race under the watchful eyes and taste buds of industry professionals.
Best tasting tap water goes to Ferntree.
The crowd remaining fit, reigning champions Ferntree now progress onto the national stage, with eyes also turning to international glory.
Based on past history, I think we're going to do a pretty good job, and watch out for the rest of the mainland.
Tassie can certainly hold their own, so they definitely bat above their average in Tasmania, so anything could happen.
Well and truly putting Tassie on the map. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
The taste of summer is dishing up an even bigger serving this year. The Summer Festival of Produce will run between December 27 and January 6, and for the first time over 2 weekends.
The message from stallholders, from interstate travellers, from locals was very, very clear, and they want more of it.
Preparations for the event have begun, developing the site plan and entertainment program. Some of the state's top designers are getting ready to hit the runway as Tasmanian Fashion Week returns for its second year. Back bigger and better than the first, organisers are hoping to shine a stylish spotlight on local talent.
Preparing to strut her stuff on the Tasmanian stage, Selena's hoping her new collection turns a few heads.
My designs are very different from your off-the-rack or your traditional bridal wear.
The Hobart designer bringing her best to her second Tasmanian Fashion Festival.
I love that Selena has the most creative, incredible designs. You won't see them anywhere else, and they are an absolute joy to wear.
Giving audiences the chance to get up close with fabulous fashion and the designers who dreamt it all up.
This day and age, people want to know where their fashion came from. They want to know the story behind the label.
Opening in Launceston before heading to Hobart, it's promising to be a feast for the style senses. A flagship feature day will have runways for day wear, evening wear and our freshest local talent.
We really wanted to create this event to give a launching platform for emerging and established designers here in our state.
with other industry insiders keen to ride its coattails.
And I do find that the local models or people interested in the fashion industry usually will jump at anything that comes up, so it's wonderful to see something like this.
It's hoped offering an outlet to Tasmanian talent will help keep local labels from leaving.
We need to give young people the opportunity to stay here in the state, and without opportunities, people move on.
The Fashion Fund starts on September 5. Annie Green, 7 Tasmanian News.
A charity founded to help Hobart's young people through tough times is celebrating a significant milestone. For half a century, Colony 47 has provided a ray of hope for thousands, with current staff saying our youth are sadly still facing the same challenges.
1970s Hobart was a different place to be for young people, dominated by a conservative Christian culture. Even handing out contraceptives could get you arrested. Enter Jim Colville.
I was working with young people and many of them were suffering.
Renting the church at 47 Davey Street, Colony 47 was formed.
Where it was open doors, anyone was welcome to come in and to receive support.
The preacher risking his ministry, his reputation and being arrested. From humble beginnings, the colony is now 50 years old.
We're trying to fill the gaps for young people, identifying that journey that they're on and those early intervention points.
The person that comes in goes away and they're better than when they first came in.
There are 33 different programs helping more than 7,000 young people, with $300 million invested. Staff and volunteers also give up their Christmas to host a lunch for those without a place to go.
Started from us having 1 or 2 people joining us at our own table. That's why I'm proud of it. Not from what I did. It's been the work of so many good people.
The passion to help still runs through the building.
It's an amazing day to have someone walk out the door and hopefully say that they'll never see you ever again. They've found their feet.
Times have changed, but their big issues are still the same. Mental health support and housing, their greatest challenges.
There are no appropriate housing solutions for young people in Tasmania. If you are under 25, you're excluded from the market.
For Jim and the team, their belief in young people isn't wavering.
All my life looked to not what is but what can be, especially with young people.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
After growing up playing on a paddock near Oatlands, Sam Banks will become the latest Tasmanian to play in the AFL on Thursday night. Drafted with pick 29 in 2021, the former Clarence star broke the news to his parents this morning.
What are you doing Thursday?
Hopefully, going to Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm in.
Oh, good on you, mate.
Banks hails from Whiteford, population 60. Amazingly, he's the second Richmond player to come from that area after none other than Royce Hart. Despite being a couple of wins outside the Premier League hockey top 4, University's women's side is still dreaming of finals. A 3-1 win over Derwent on Saturday has rejuvenated the team. Facing Canterbury this weekend, their star import believes they can still make it.
I think we can play the finals and we have to keep training and getting better in many things.
University's men's side is also riding high, even after a 2-2 draw with Derwent. The ladder leader will be looking to consolidate top spot against reigning Premier Canterbury. Chloe White hat-trick helped Tasmania's under-18 women's side thump South Australia 4-0 at the National Championships. The boys are still undefeated after beating Queensland 5-0 last night. Facing Victoria's 2 teams later in the week, the coach says they want to show the country the state isn't minnow anymore.
Tasmania's been punching above its weight at national championships for years now. We don't go into tournaments necessarily wanting to beat the big teams because we are one of the big teams.
One win from Tasmania's final 2 matches put them into the finals.
Good evening. Today, Hobart 9 degrees, Launceston 10, Devonport and Burnie both 12. Now, we saw cloudy conditions across the state today with minimal rainfall recorded. King Island, the state's top with 14, Flinders Island, Smithton, St Helens and Strawn all 13, Low Head and Friendly Beaches 12, Maria Island 11, Lyweenie 9, with Grove and Ooze recording 7, the coolest temperatures across the state today. The satellite image shows thick high cloud covering the entirety of the state today. A broad area of high-level cloud covers much of southeastern Australia. A cold air mass is producing scattered low-level cloud over southwestern WA. The rest of the country is relatively cloud-free. Tomorrow we can see a large high moving over northern parts of the country. A cold front and associated trough lies over southern WA and South Australia. Another trough lies over southeast Queensland. To coastal waters, north to northwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots. More variable about the east in the morning. The west and south can expect southwesterly swells up to 2.5 metres. Mild conditions elsewhere. Cloudy conditions continue tomorrow for Hobart and Geeston. A shower or 2 and 12 for Bothwell. Launceston and Devonport 13, Cressy showers and 12. Burnie 12 with showers, 14's the top for Strawn and Curry. St Helens and Orford, cloudy, both 14, also cloudy conditions in Swansea. Taking a look now at the 3-day forecast, Thursday showers continue in the north with possible showers elsewhere and also a chance of a thunderstorm about the far northwest. Friday showers mostly about north and west with little expected about the lower east coast. There are some possible thunderstorms about the west. Saturday showers easing in the east with possible thunderstorms about the west with snow falling to 900 metres. And to our mainland capital cities tomorrow, Perth 16, early showers for Brisbane, 17 in Adelaide and partly cloudy conditions for Melbourne. And currently Hobart cloudy 8 degrees, also cloudy in Launceston and in Devonport. And that's all from me in the weather tonight, Kim.
And that's all we have time for tonight. As always, thanks for being with us. Good night.
Wastewater purification.